In this video, I show you all of my painted miniatures from Forbidden Fortress. So this is the second Kickstarter that I backed for Shadows of Brimstone. I was all in the original pledge. And if you haven't seen my video for that, go ahead and check that out here. But I received this Shogun pledge level of the Forbidden Fortress Kickstarter I think about a year ago, and I left it sitting in its box for a long time, and because of COVID-19 I was able to finally break it out and start painting this set. So this is one of the sets that I wanted to paint up during my 7 months of painting about 200 miniatures per month. And so I broke this out back in October, and right now it is December of 2020. And I was able to paint most of it during October, but had the alternate gender heroes left to paint. I put that on hold in order to paint up all of my Ultra Quest miniatures. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that out here. This set has about 170 miniatures as well as terrain features, and so was able to get through this fairly quickly. I did experiment and landed on a painting method that I was happy with. And again, if you haven't seen those two sets of videos, go ahead and click here where I do zenithal highlighting with using Montana gold spray paint rather than using an airbrush, and I found that to be the most efficient way to paint miniatures quickly. I'm really happy with this set, and as you can see here, I think the miniatures turned out really well. I'm super happy that the hero miniatures are a lot better quality than what was in the original Shadows of Brimstone. I think Flying Frog Games really learned a lot in making miniatures, and these miniatures are really high quality with a lot of detail. And so I'm really happy about that. But I especially really like these larger boss miniatures. And of course the highlight is this dragon here. I opted to paint mine blue rather than red just because I have a lot of red dragons and things like that. So I wanted an alternate color, and I think this bluish color really turned out well. So I spent a lot of time on this one. I did traditional painting with this guy versus the quick method of zenithal highlighting, and was able to paint it up still fairly quickly because he has so much texture. Again, when a model has a lot of texture, it's easier to paint up, and that was the case for not only the dragon but also this phoenix right here. So that just shows that using that quick painting method, you don't compromise a ton on quality, although if you do go and compare my Shadows of Brimstone paint jobs with these, I do think that the traditional method does produce a bit better quality of paint jobs. But again, my goal to paint 200 miniatures in 7 months, this definitely sped up the process, for which I'm grateful. And I'm very happy with the level of quality that is here. Definitely a tabletop ready quality that I'm very happy with. I know that Flying Frog Games did have another Kickstarter and raised about the same amount of money, over $1 million, for both of these campaigns. And that one was Viking themed as well as, I think, conquistadors. I didn't opt to go in on that because my original Shadows of Brimstone set is still massive and has a ton of gameplay amount. And honestly, I wouldn't have gotten Forbidden Fortress either, but because it is Asian themed, I wanted to be able to not only play this game, but also use these miniatures for some other Japanese or Asian themed games. So I'm glad that I went in on this, even though it took me over a year to finally bust it out and paint all of the miniatures. I did run out of space in my miniature case, so I did use my laser cutter to create these plexiglass holders, which increase the capacity of my miniature case, and so I'm able to store all of these miniatures alongside my original Shadows of Brimstone minis. Now I'm in the process of scanning and modifying the size of all of these hero cards as well as monster cards. Again, this is a really fiddly game, and so I created a whole system to label all of the map pieces to correspond with the cards and shrunk down the monster cards so that they fit in these binders. I also purchased the upgrade pack for the original 2 boxes for Shadows of Brimstone. They did come out with what is sort of a second edition where they modified the stats for some of the items, heroes, as well as some of the monsters. I don't think that that's absolutely necessary, but if you do buy a new version or a new copy of the base boxes of Shadows of Brimstone, it does come with those upgrades and changes. And this upgrade pack, I don't know if it's still available on their website, but I went ahead and purchased it because in particular there are some heroes. There's an obvious upgrade path that you should choose because it's so much better than the other ones. They fixed some of that and tweak some of the games. So I think that was great. But again, totally not necessary because it only pertains to the original 2 boxes. Also, they came out with some replacement miniatures for those 2 base sets, which I think is good because their original miniatures, I think, were a bit mushy in terms of details. So I'm glad that they came out with those alternative miniatures. But again, I'm not going to be buying those because I have plenty, and I had proxy miniatures anyway for those heroes originally. But again, super happy with the quality of the hero miniatures this time around. Glad that they didn't go the resin route and instead have the hard plastic. Plenty happy with that. And the variety of heroes that you can play too, again, plenty to play with. Overall, super happy with this set and am looking forward to, once again, when COVID lifts, of having this be our next campaign that we're going to play with my Tuesday night gaming group. We just wrapped up and finished Madara and am looking to play another campaign, and so we're going to pick this up once things open up. Please like and subscribe, and make sure to check out my Patreon page where you can see what the GGGG is for this month. At the end of this month of December of 2020, Bob the Beholder is going to be picking a couple of Patreon supporters. The gratitude gifts are the Kickstarter version of Super Fantasy Brawl, Kickstarter version of Last Aurora, and then finally another dragon from Archon Studios. If you want to see those, go ahead and check that out in this video here. Otherwise, happy gaming, happy painting. We'll see you next time.